Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.
Question 1. Which of the following factors primarily affects supply in the real estate market? A. Population. B. Demographics. C. Employment. D. Government financial policies. Answer. D. Population, demographics and employment impact demand for a commodity, but government fiscal, spending and taxing policies strongly influence availability and cost of credit for those who produce things to be sold, like new homes. Question 2. Of the following, the method which allows the most depreciation to be taken during the first year would be A. Straight line method. B. 150% declining balance method. C. 200% declining balance method. D. Sum of the year's digits method. Answer. C. The 200% declining balance method of depreciation allows the most depreciation for the first year. The sum of the year's digits method allows the most depreciation in the earlier years. Question 3. Daniels purchased 60 acres of land near a city. He intended to subdivide it for sale as single-family residential lots and sell the lots for cash. Daniels needs maximum financing to put in streets, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, etc. He wants to pass the cost of these to the lot purchasers in such a way that when title policies are issued to future lot owners, the policies will contain no reference to assessment liens for the above stated purposes. Daniels' best course for financing these needs will probably be A. Real property sales contracts. B. Improvement bonds. C. Interim loans from institutional lenders. D. Corporate stock. Answer. C. Answer B would result in assessment liens. Answers A and D are not specifically financing means for such improvements. By elimination, answer C is the best choice. Question 4. A new well and pump were installed on a parcel of land. For property tax assessment purposes, the county assessor would consider these as A. Improvements. B. Additions. C. Part of the land. D. Personal property. Answer. A. A well and pump would be improvements to the real property. Question 5. Which of the following factors is most likely to influence demand for real estate? A. The number of real estate brokers in the area. B. The number of full-time real estate salespersons in the area. C. The wage levels and employment opportunities. D. The price of new homes being built in the area. Answer. C. When wage levels and job expansion are increasing, workers are more likely to buy real estate. When wages are stagnant or declining, they hold back from making big purchasing commitments. Effective demand requires not only the desire to purchase a product, but also the financial means to do so. Question 6. The one unity in a joint tenancy holding that is also present in tenancy and common holding is A. Equal right of possession. B. Right of survivorship. C. Equal interest of all owners. D. Tenant in possession can be charged rent for the use of the land. Answer. A. Under any type of ownership, each owner has an equal right of possession. This means that any owner can go anywhere on the property regardless of the percentage of their overall interest. Question 7. As a part of the purchase price, the seller of a parcel of land accepted a purchase money first trust deed which contained a subordinate clause. This clause would A. Guarantee priority of the first trust deed. B. Preclude the buyer from placing construction loans on the property. C. B. Permit the buyer to place a future loan on the property that would have priority. D. Permit additional liens to be placed against the property without the buyer's consent. Answer. C. A loan in a trust deed that contains a subordination clause supersedes the rule the first to record is the first in right. A subordination clause in a note and trust deed is evidence that the lender agrees that a future obtained trust deed may be prior to this loan even though the future loan is recorded later. Oftentimes builders use this clause in a trust deed and note used to purchase raw land from the owner. They offer the owner the full price contingent upon him carrying back financing for the land. The trust deed that he is to receive from the builder must contain a subordination clause in which the owner of the land agrees to be junior in priority to a future recorded construction loan. Question 8. Capitalization is an appraisal process used to A. Convert net income into market value. B. Establish book value. C. Determine net income. D. Establish a capitalization rate. Answer. A. Capitalization of income is a method of establishing the value of income-type properties. Question 9. The type of legal action that would most likely be taken in the event of a default on a land contract would be A. Lease pendens. B. Writ of execution. C. Foreclosure by trustees sale. D. Quiet title action. Answer D. If the original land contract had been recorded and the buyer has defaulted, there would be a cloud on the title and some form of legal action would be required to clear the title. This would not be a foreclosure but a quiet title action. Question 10. A subordination clause in a trust deed may A. Give priority to liens subsequently recorded against the property. B. Allow for periodic renegotiation and adjustment in the terms of the obligation. C. Prohibit the trustor from making an additional loan against the property before the trust deed is paid off. D. Permit the obligation to be paid off ahead of schedule. Answer. A. A subordination clause written into a loan gives a lower, secondary position to that loan if another loan is recorded later. Question 1. A salesperson receives an offer from a buyer who has no cash but offers a deposit of $500 in the form of personal note payable in 30 days. A. This is unacceptable since a deposit must be in cash or a check. B. The form of deposit is immaterial as long as the $500 figure appears on the deposit receipt. C. A salesperson may accept a personal note as deposit if he advises the seller of this prior to acceptance. D. A salesperson may accept a note if made in favor of the broker to handle expenses. Answer. C. It is perfectly all right for the salesperson to accept a personal note as a deposit, but this must be disclosed to the seller before the acceptance of the offer. Question 2. Collecting rents, fixing up the property and showing vacant units are the types of responsibilities that would be assumed by A. A broker. B. A resident property manager. C. A salesman. D. An attorney at law. Answer. B. These are the types of things that a resident property manager does. Question 3. A person who has been given the right to act on behalf of another is known as A. Affiant. B. Attorney in fact. C. Executor. D. Principal. Answer. B. The power of attorney is the piece of paper and the one with the right to act is the attorney in fact. Question 4. A prudent lender would take into consideration which of the following before issuing a loan? A. Borrower's ability to pay. B. The market value of the property that is the security for the loan. C. Current economic trends. D. All of the above. Answer. D. The lender would consider all aspects of the loan as mentioned in choices 1, 2, and 3. Question 5. Which of the following represents a gross misrepresentation by an agent? A. His representation is an obvious falsehood. B. His representation is made with a knowledge of the falsehood. C. His representation caused the aggrieved party to enter into the contract. D. All of the above. Answer. D. All of these are examples of gross misrepresentation by an agent. Question 6. The relationship between effective and nominal interest is that A. Effective interest is what the buyer pays, nominal interest is what is named in the loan application. B. Effective interest is what the buyer pays, nominal interest is what is named in the advertising. C. Effective interest is what the buyer pays, nominal interest is what is specified in the note. D. There is no difference. Answer. C. Effective rate is the actual interest rate paid by the borrower. Nominal rate is the interest rate specified in the note. Question 7. In assessing the profitability of a real estate office, the broker must consider desk cost. Which best describes how to calculate desk cost? A. Calculate the cost of all the desks. B. Calculate the gross profit for the office, less the expenses, divide by the number of desks. C. Divide the total cost of rent, utilities and advertising by the number of desks. D. Divide the total operating expenses of the office, including salaries, rent, insurance, etc., by the number of desks. Answer. D. Desk cost is the total cost of operating expenses of an office divided by the number of desks in the real estate office. Question 8. Under some loans covered under the Federal Truth in Lending Law, the borrower has a right to rescind the loan. The right to rescind is A. 3 days. B. 5 days. C. 10 days. D. 14 days. Answer. A. On loans where the personal residence is used as security, other than the first trust deed used to purchase the property, the borrower has 3 days to rescind. Question 9. A property is not listed for sale. A person who wants the property executes an offer to purchase it through a real estate agent and gives the broker a $5,000 check as a deposit. The broker A. Can accept the check on behalf of the property owner provided he presents the offer directly to the seller as the seller's agent. B. Cannot accept the check. C. Can accept the check as the exclusive agent of the buyer. D. None of the above. Answer. C. You can accept the check as exclusive agent for the buyer, but you have no listing with the seller. Question 10. The economic life of an improvement as compared to the physical life is usually A. Longer. B. Shorter. C. The same. D. Depends on the type of improvement. Answer. D. Most houses are torn down before they fall down. When a house cannot be used for rental income or residential purposes, it no longer has any economic worth and is generally torn down. Question 1. A real estate broker only has a right to earn a commission when the property sells during the listing period except when which of the following is included in the listing agreement? A. A broker's protection clause. B. Exculpatory clause. C. A subordination clause. D. None of the above. Answer. A. The broker is entitled to a commission if the property is sold to parties with whom he has negotiated during the term of the listing for a stated number of days after the listing expires. Question 2. Harris and Davis, single people, owned a parcel of real property as joint tenants. Harris encumbered his interest for $10,000, borrowing the amount to pay medical bills without the knowledge or consent of Davis. Shortly thereafter, Harris died, with the debt still unpaid. Which of the following would be true? A. Davis and the lender would be tenants in common, each owning 1/2 interest in the property. B. Davis would own all of the property free and clear of the encumbrance. C. Davis would own all of the property but would be subject to the $10,000 loan. D. Davis and the beneficiary would own the property as joint tenants, each with a 1/2 interest. Answer. B. On the death of one joint tenant, the survivors take title to the property without the obligation to pay unforeclosed liens. Question 3. Occasionally, the title to real property becomes unmarketable. Which of the following causes would be least likely to result in that eventuality? A. Imperfect title, due to a breach caused by adverse possession of a prior owner. B. A lease pendens filed by the husband of the owner of record. C. Restrictions imposed by a private owner through a deed notation. D. Public restrictions contained in zoning ordinances and building codes. Answer. D. Public restrictions rarely cause title to real property to be unmarketable, private restrictions sometimes do. Question 4. Prices have risen 20%. What has happened to the value of the dollar? A. It has gone down 16 2/3%. B. It has gone down 20%. C. It has gone down 25%. D. None of the above. Answer. A. For instance, an item that used to sell for $1 now sells for $1.20. The dollar now buys 5/6 of what it used to buy. Its value has gone down 1/6 or 16 2/3. Question 5. What supports the floor and ceiling loads? A. Joists. B. Studs. C. Supporters. D. Mudsills. Answer. A. Joists are the beams that run horizontal and parallel to each other and are used to support the floor and ceiling loads. Joists are beams, not rafters. Question 6. A broker who takes a listing with option to purchase is, first of all, A. A principal. B. An optioner. C. An optionee. D. An agent. Answer. D. A listing agreement which contains an option to purchase is first of all a contract employing the broker to act as an agent for the owner in the sale of the property, and that is his principal role. If he exercises the option, he operates in the capacity of a principal in its resale, but this is secondary to this responsibility as an agent. Question 7. An inner-city neighborhood is well integrated with civic groups working to maintain social harmony. However, mounting problems with schools and with increasing crime have caused several white families to move out. In which of the following statements is broker Brown in violation of the law? 1. He is actively soliciting listings in the area with the slogan "Sell Now, Save Equity." 2. He is offering lower commission rates to whites who patronize his business. A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both statements. D. Neither statements. Answer. C. Both of these acts are in violation of the fair housing laws. Question 8. The liquidation of a financial obligation on an installment plan or basis is A. Conversion. B. Amortization. C. Acceleration. D. Conveyancing. Answer. B. Amortization means to pay principal and interest over the life of the loan. Question 9. Mr. and Mrs. Davis held real property as husband and wife. Mr. Davis died and his will specified that all his interests were to go to his eldest son, Thomas. Son Thomas would A. Inherit an undivided 1/2 interest in the property. B. Acquire a 1/2 interest in the property. C. Acquire title to the property in fee simple, as he is the eldest male heir. D. Acquire no interest in the property as it would automatically go to the widow. Answer. A. Under the community property law, either spouse may will his or her undivided 1/2 to anyone they choose. Question 10. Inasmuch as real property requires more time to market than listed securities, require more care, and comes in larger denominations, its return should be A. About the same as from bonds. B. Higher than from bonds and less than from first trust deeds. C. Equal to the return from first mortgages. D. Higher than that of bonds or first mortgages. Answer. D. The return from real property should be higher than from bonds or first trust deeds because of the above factors. Question 1. Which of the following real estate syndicates requires 100 or more investors? A. Limited partnership. B. Joint venture. C. Corporation. D. Real estate investment trust. Answer. D. A real estate investment trust, which is organized under federal laws, must have 100 or more investors. Question 2. A purchaser of real property utilizing leverage is A. Using the maximum amount of his own money to purchase property. B. Using the maximum amount of borrowed money to purchase property. C. Making the maximum down payment for the property. D. None of the above. Answer. B. Leverage is the use of credit, borrowed money, to purchase a property. When a property is 80% leveraged, it means a debt on the property is 80% of its value. The owner's equity is 20%. Question 3. A licensed contractor purchased 8 lots in a new subdivision and constructed 8 homes on the lots. He sold the 8 homes to various buyers and took back a $5,000 second trust deed on each of them. He would now like to sell the trust deeds within the year of their creation at a 20% discount. In order for him to do this, he A. Needs a real estate license. B. Must sell them through a real property securities dealer. C. Does not need a permit. D. Must deliver a real property security statement. Answer. A. These second trust deeds are classified as promotional notes and are real property securities. The contractor must obtain a permit to sell them, and since he is handling 8 in 1 calendar year, he is considered to be in the business and must have a license to sell them through a licensee. A dealer's endorsement is not required. Question 4. Which of the following statements is correct concerning a land contract? A. It is used when the seller wishes to convey title without a trustee relationship. B. It is similar to a lease in that the buyer has a right of possession but no rights in the title. C. The buyer has absolute assurance of receiving title upon performance of the contract. D. It is the least secure method of financing real property for the buyer because the seller has retained the title and the buyer is merely the equitable owner. Answer. D. A land contract is a security device used in financing real property, but it is the least secure method for the buyer, since the seller does retain the title. The buyer is the equitable owner, which means that he can use the property. While the seller retains the title, the buyer has rights in that title, and he often records the land contract to give public notice of those rights. Question 5. The liquidity of a borrower is generally determined by a loan officer in considering A. Debt to equity. B. Income total assets. C. Current assets to current liabilities. D. Fixed assets to current assets. Answer. C. A loan officer, in determining the liquidity of a borrower, is attempting to determine his ability to pay off current bills. Current assets to current liabilities would be the test he would use. Question 6. The owner of a property who signed a listing with a broker for 30 days was killed in an accident before the listing expired. The listing is A. No good as an authorization but binding if a buyer is secured later. B. Still in effect as the owner's interest was clear. C. Binding upon owner's heirs to carry out his promises. D. Terminated by the death of the owner. Answer. D. All personal service contract, such as listings, are terminated immediately upon death of either party. Question 7. Which of the following would usually be considered real property? A. Timber. B. Airspace above the land. C. Unharvested crops already contracted for. D. Land-filled dirt being moved. Answer. B. Of the choices given, airspace above the land is considered real property. Question 8. Conventional loans are distinguished from FHA-insured loans by all of the following except A. Conventional loans provide for a lower loan-to-value ratio. B. FHA loans generally provide for a longer repayment period. C. Conventional loans always permit a deficiency judgment, while FHA loans never allow them. D. Interest rates on FHA loans are generally lower than those on conventional loans. Answer. C. Deficiency judgments are not allowed on purchase. Question 9. Brother and sister purchase property as joint tenants. Later, the sister marries and deeded her interest to herself and her husband. A. The joint tenancy continues to exist in all three persons. B. The brother remains as a joint tenant. C. The joint tenancy is terminated. D. The sister's deed to her husband is voidable by the brother. Answer. C. Joint tenancy require the four equal unities of time, title, interest and possession between two or more parties. Once any of the four unities is broken, it can no longer be a joint tenancy. Question 10. Theft as it relates to real property includes all of the following except A. Entering and removing part of the realty. B. Defrauding by misrepresentation. C. Signing another's name without authorization. D. Carrying away any portion of the security of a mortgage with the intent to defraud the mortgage. Answer. C. Signing another person's name as forgery. It may lead to theft in our way of thinking, but is not defined as such in the Penal Code. Question 1. A buyer of a residence, prior to the close of escrow, asks the broker for permission to move into the property. The broker should A. Deny the buyer permission. B. Grant the buyer oral permission. C. Ask the buyer to sign a lease for the property. D. Obtain written consent from the owner. Answer. D. Prior to the close of escrow, the seller is still the owner, therefore, the broker should get written consent from the owner before allowing a buyer to take possession. Question 2. An alienation clause provides that A. The principal amount of the loan, plus accrued interest, is due in the event of the sale of the property. B. The mortgage is security for a promissory note. C. A lien can be placed on the property that takes precedence over a prior recorded trust deed. D. None of the above. Answer. A. Also called due on sale. It states that the lender may demand the loan plus accrued interest be paid in full in the event the property is sold. Question 3. If a man has a freehold estate, which of the following would result in his having a less than freehold estate? A. Sale and leaseback. B. Selling the mineral rights to a third party. C. Giving a leasehold interest for 5 years. D. Granting a life estate. Answer. A. A less than freehold estate is a landlord/tenant arrangement. Of the choices offered, only a sale-leaseback would result in a less than freehold estate. Question 4. Broker Young, as an agent, showed a property to James. James signed a deposit receipt which contained the following words: buyer to accept the property in an as-is condition. Broker Young knew that the plumbing in the property was in a major state of disrepair with parts missing, but he did not tell James. The problem with the plumbing would not be apparent to an ordinary, prudent person. If James sued the seller for damages for fraud, the court suit would probably be A. Unsuccessful because the as-is provision in the deposit receipt shows that there is a mutual understanding of possible defects. B. Unsuccessful because the deposit receipt specifically state buyer to accept the property in an as-is condition. C. Successful because the duty to disclose a material fact cannot be avoided by an as-is provision under the stated circumstances. D. Successful because as-is refers only to obvious defects. Answer. C. The Real Estate Commissioner and the courts are very protective of consumers. Therefore, they will not allow an as-is clause to be valid except for obvious defects, which any reasonable and prudent person could discover. Question 5. To alienate title to real property, one would A. Encumber it. B. Place a homestead on the property. C. Convey the title. D. Cloud the title. Answer. C. The term alienate means to transfer or convey. To alienate title means to convey it. Question 6. Real property would include A. Real property tax lien. B. Trust deed. C. Crude oil which has just reached the surface in a pipe drilled beneath the land. D. None of the above are real property. Answer. D. None of the possible answers to this question is real property. A tax lien and a trust deed, although having to do with real property, are not real property. Oil which has been captured is personal property. Question 7. Which is true concerning an option? A. Title acquired by exercising an option usually dates back to the time of the option and cuts off intervening rights acquiring with knowledge of the existence of the option. B. Only the optioner is bound to a sale. C. The optionee has no interest or estate in the land. D. All of the above statements are true. Answer. D. All of these statements are true. Question 8. Abel buys Blackacre from Baker, taking title to the property subject to the existing loan. The person primarily responsible for the repayment of the loan would be A. Abel. B. Baker. C. Either Abel or Baker. D. Neither Abel or Baker. Answer. B. When a buyer takes title subject to the loan, the seller retains the responsibility for the repayment of the note. The buyer takes no responsibility for the note. The buyer can lose a property by foreclosure because a property was bought encumbered with loan, but after the foreclosure, if there is a deficiency in the process, the buyer is not liable for that note deficiency. Any suit would be against the seller for the deficiency judgment as the buyer's name does not appear on the note. Question 9. A lessee's interest is A. Personal property. B. A chattel reel. C. A grant to use property for a period of time which reverts to the grantor at the expiration of the term. D. All of the above. Answer. D. All three choices refer to the lessee's interest in real property. Always keep in mind that a lessee's interest is personal property known as chattel real. Question 10. An apartment owner was figuring his net income for income tax purposes. He took the gross income and deducted certain expenses. Of the ones listed below, which could he not deduct? A. Depreciation. B. Interest on loan for purpose of purchasing the property. C. Management expenses. D. Cost of offense. Answer. D. Offense would be a capital improvement. The cost of it should be added to the cost basis of the property and depreciated.
Exam Scholar, Real Estate Edition.